Hello, how are you today? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is episode 5 of One Take Hot Take, a podcast where we talk about things that affect us as like artists and designers, and it's all filmed in one take, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. If you are new here, hello, my name is Hannah Bennyhood. I am a full-time artist and architect. This week, I asked you guys to ask me some questions on Instagram and I'm going to answer them. Now, I would like to preface this episode with just letting you know that I'm not in a very good mood. Not at all. I probably shouldn't be doing a podcast right now, but what can I say? So I would just like to apologise in advance if my responses are a little catty. Just know I'm not being mean, I'm just feeling frustrated at the world, not at you. So let's jump in, shall we? Okay, so where are these? Let's start off with an easy one. What editing software do you use for your videos? I love all the colours. Thank you so much. That's super kind. I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm by no means an expert in editing at all, but I do it all myself. The best things I can recommend in terms of the colour is just looking up how to do colour correction using adjustment layers. And just to give you an idea, let me show you what this video would look like without the colour correction and now with the colour correction. So yeah, colour correction makes a big difference. So check that out if you video edit too. Okay, next question. At what point did you start to register as a limited liability company? So when I was first doing art as a hobby, I just wasn't earning enough to really pay it any attention, to be honest. So when I was doing it on the side as being a full-time architect, I just was essentially a sole trader. When I moved to Canada, I stayed as a sole trader again, and that was in part because I didn't want to go through the hassle of setting up a company in a different country. So once when I returned to the UK, that is when I set myself up as a limited liability company. I do know lots of freelancers that aren't set up as a company. The specific reason what I did is because I am a public artist, so there is some risk to what I can do, and the limited liability company literally means your liability is limited. What that means is if someone trips over my artwork or something and tries to sue me, they can only sue my business. They can't come and sue me, as in Hannah Bennyhood, the individual. And that means that I'm protected. Things like my house is protected, for example. They can't come after my personal assets. So I wanted to make sure that I did that just in case. It's a bit of a faff to set up a company. It also means you have to start paying things like corporation tax. And so there's a little bit more to it. So I would say even if you don't set up a limited liability company, I would highly recommend the fact that you at least have a separate account for your business so you don't mix it up with your personal money, because that's also what I love about having a limited liability company, like the cleanness. I really think of it differently. My money and the business's money I think of very differently. There is no specific time that I would recommend it. It just depends on what exactly you are doing as a job. Okay, next question. I'd love to be a freelance illustrator, but I struggle to know if my work is good enough. Any advice? Yes, okay. I would say if you're trying to become a freelance illustrator, you want to make money from your illustration, it doesn't really matter what you think about your illustrations. The market will decide. If someone's willing to pay you for you to make your work, then your work's good enough. That's it. It doesn't really matter what you think per se. You don't really get to decide. You could even think something's really good, but if there's no market for it, then you're not going to make money from it as a freelancer. So what I would say is just put your work out there and the market will decide for you. Actually, this year I have started doing freelance illustration. It's the first time I've done freelance illustration because I usually do public art. And the clients found me, and that was because I was just constantly posting my drawings on social media. Just remember that things take time, right? I have been posting drawings on Instagram for years, and I've only just got my first illustration gig. So you can either go hunting for clients, create a portfolio, or they can come for you, but don't be disheartened if it doesn't happen straight away. Also, you might find an illustration style that is good at making money, which might not be the illustration style that you particularly love. So the word good is a bit subjective, you know. Depends what you're looking for. Morning, you're so busy. How do you know when to take a break? What do you do to recharge? I feel like I'm getting close to burnout right now, and I don't think that's a good way to particularly work to the point that you collapse and then take a break. But the problem with this work is that I feel like you have to make hay whilst the sun shines, because it's hard to predict when you're going to be employed and when you're not going to be employed, and it always seems to happen all at once. So what I'm beginning to try and learn to do is to enjoy the downtimes. When I used to be quiet, I used to get really anxious about it and be like, oh my God, am I ever gonna work again? When's my next paycheck coming? I just get like really nervous about those things. And although those things still like play on my mind slightly, I try to also just be like, you don't have work right now, enjoy it. So you kind of have to lean into the freelance life. So if you haven't got anything on for 2 weeks, like book a last minute holiday, just go and do things during the day which other people don't get to do. Go out to see shows like art shows, or just go and hang out with mates, or, you know, binge TV. I love TV. I watch a lot of YouTube, you know, fall down the odd TikTok hole. I think that's what I try to do to recharge, spend time with family. I do think it's difficult as a freelancer to kind of manage the fact that you're kind of never totally off. Okay, last one for today, and it is a big one. Okay, so I was wondering, how would you break down self-payment in a budget? I spoke to the person a little bit more about this question to understand exactly what she was asking. So what she's asking for is basically, if the client gives you a budget for a project and you have to put in that budget how much you are paying for yourself. Let's say hypothetically the budget is £5,000, and out of that you think £4,000 of it should go to you. I think this person is basically thinking, how do you deal with that, with the fact that you might look greedy, like you're taking a lot of the budget for yourself. I would say I've got a couple of thoughts on this. So first of all, I would say that you are absolutely not being greedy or being unprofessional if you tell a client that they can't afford you. Not every client gets to hire you. But what I also feel like I understand from this question, that you're also asking how you do this without turning down work. And then this is a balance that you need to strike, basically. If you need the money, then you need the money. You're going to have to do some concessions. But what I would do is that if you believe that the budget does not cover the scope of work that they are requiring, I would go back to them and offer them your services at a reduced scope. So what I mean by this is, for example, I had someone come to me and ask me to do 4 school workshops and some like public art, and they just didn't have the budget. So I was like, no, I can't do that for you. I can do you 1 workshop and some public art at that fee, or you can go to someone else if you want 4 workshops and the fee. And they adjusted the scope accordingly. So if they specifically want you, they will be able to work with you to actually get to a point where you are both happy. When it comes to outlining your fee, also what I do is I break down the fee. So you can do your like typical design fee, which might be a certain amount, but then just put in all the other things that it takes you time to do. So project management, engagement, design, admin, anything that takes you more time to do, add it in and cost it up, because you should get paid for that. Finding supplies, does that take you time? So you can put your artist fee and then you can put all the additional things on there as well. So you can show them what they are actually paying for, rather than just putting a big number next to artist fee. And that way you are educating the client to make them understand exactly what they are paying for. The other thing I would say, which might sound a bit harsh, is that like you just need to get better clients. If your clients are like schools, for example, they're just never going to have that much money. If that's the work you're passionate about, I would suggest trying to basically skip the school, cut the school out of it, and I would go for funding directly, and then you can pay yourself what you think you are worth and then connect with a school. So I have done that before, and then therefore in this situation you get to dictate how much you're going to get paid. There is just not a lot of money in that kind of engagement work, which is just a real shame. And so maybe think about how you can supplement it with maybe doing like corporate events or stuff like that, because that's the other thing that sometimes we have to do as artists. Supplement the low paying gigs, which maybe you are passionate about, with higher paying gigs, and then it kind of evens out. So I would also take a step back and have a look at your practice and think about who you're marketing to and whether there are some clients that got deeper pockets that can hook you up. I think that's where I'm going to leave it today. It's just a little short one. I hope that's okay. I just really wanted to try and continue to post every week. I've got a sketchbook tour filmed for you next week. Once I'm back, hopefully I'll feel a little bit more rejuvenated. I've got a big installation happening next week, and if I'm honest, like behind the scenes, it's pretty stressful right now. I am vlogging it all, so I am gonna decide and think about how I kind of tell the story about the ability to get large scale projects across the line. So I will be back with you soon. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you've got any other more questions, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them next time. And that's it for today. See you next time.